Welcome back, my beautiful people. I am Eva and welcome back to my channel where together we study the Polish language. And today I have a new video for you and I am really excited because I will give you 3 phrases that we hear every day in Poland. You might know some of them under a different variation, different translation, or a different form in the English language, and they are very useful. So let's get started. Okay, so the first phrase that I have for you is ubierać się na cebulkę. Ubierać się na cebulkę. So, as you can see, I have a phrase here that translates to dress in layers. But when you think of the literal translation, we say to dress, ubierać się, to dress na cebulkę, as an onion, basically, or like an onion, because onion has layers. So basically that's what we say. And yeah, I actually will give you the conjugated verb too. So here we have the conjugated verb, so you know in every person how to conjugate it. If you don't know those personal pronouns, well, have a look at my videos on verbs because there you have full translations. And right now I will quickly pronounce this verb for you, which is ja ubieram, ty ubierasz, on, ona, on ubiera, my ubieramy, wy ubieracie, oni, one ubierają się. So here that się makes this verb reflexive, okay? If you don't use this reflexive pronoun się, then the verb will change its meaning and it's not going to be to dress up yourself. No, like yourself is the reflexive in English, but it will be just to dress, I don't know, to dress a cat, to dress up a child, whatever. You know the idea. So just bear that in mind. I have 2 examples for you to put it into context. This is the first one. Synku, jest zimno. Lepiej ubierz się na cebulkę. Son, it's cold. It's better for you to dress up in layers, okay? And that's basically how we use it. You know, you can hear it from your mom. I've used to hear it from my mom when I was a child because, you know, when it's getting autumn in Poland and it's getting cold, it's better to be dressed up in layers because sometimes during the day it might be nice and then in the evening it might be cold. So and layers is usually much better. And those of you who live in UK or Ireland, you know, in Ireland when I lived there, layers was like a must. Everybody had to be in layers. And we would really repeat that to myself, like to my Polish friends, because there's a huge community of Polish people in Ireland. We would, you know, use those phrases between us. You know, if someone would be cold, I could tell them that, you know, like, why didn't you dress up in layers? Na cebulkę. So it's a very useful phrase. You can hear it in an example like this. Mi nie jest zimno. Ubrałam się na cebulkę. I could say that to my friends, you know, when I was in Ireland. You know, I'm not cold because I dressed up in layers. So that's the first phrase. It's super common. You will hear it all the time. I know it might sound weird to you because we're saying that we're dressing up like an onion, but it's all about the layers that the onion has. So we just went more deep with our metaphors in the Polish language. Number 2. Wóz albo przewóz. Wóz albo przewóz. So it's also a very common phrase to hear in Poland. The problem that I found with it when I was looking for the English translation is that there is no one specific translation for it in English. So I think it's the best to explain the meaning of this phrase. And in the literal translation, we can translate it to cart or carriage, basically. I think the closest I got to finding a translation, a parent translation for it in English would be sink or swim. But yeah, maybe you can answer if you're a native English speaker in the comments, because I haven't been really hearing that when I was living in Ireland for more than half of my life. So here for you, I have decided to include an official definition of this very popular phrase in Poland, which is based on the Polish dictionary that was written by Bogusław Dunaj. And in there he said, wyrażenie używane w chwili podjęcia jakiegoś wyboru, decyzji o niewiadomych skutkach. And that translates to an expression used when a choice is made, a decision with unknown consequences. So if that is the definition of sink or swim, please let me know down below because it would be very useful for me too. And that's basically how we use this phrase wóz albo przewóz. And I have decided to give you examples and have a look at examples because that's always the best thing to do, I think. And here I have two. Wóz albo przewóz, Marty. That's a very common thing. You would hear it when you would hear a phrase. Usually you would hear it like as a standalone answer to something or a standalone thought. And here we could translate it to, you know, take it or leave it, Marty. It is what it is. A wóz albo przewóz. That's how it is. And that's how we would use it somewhat in a way as take it or leave it. I have included another one here for you. It's a bit longer, but you know, gives an idea of when we could use such phrase. Pogoda była fatalna, dużo lodu na drodze, ale pomyślałem, wóz albo przewóz i zdecydowałem się kontynuować trasę. So the weather was terrible, a lot of ice on the road, but I thought fight or flight and decided to continue the route. I'm not sure I have correctly used the fight or flight phrase in English here. Maybe not. Maybe you want to share your thoughts in the comments. But for me here, it was really difficult to put an English translation because I'm not exactly sure of the take it or leave it or this fight or flight or the sink or swim because I haven't really come across a lot of those apart from take it or leave it. Take it or leave it is super common, I think, in the English language. But here, what you indicate by saying wóz albo przewóz is that you've made the decision with unknown consequences. You know, you had to decide. You couldn't just be there on the road, God knows how long. You had to make a decision, and you made a decision. Whether it was bad or not, you don't really know. So yeah, that's kind of the scenario. So you often use this phrase when you don't really know consequence, but you have to do something. You have to decide upon something. Same with the take it or leave it translation. Wóz albo przewóz, Marty, because you don't know what Marty will do. So he can take it or he can leave it. This is a very common phrase that you will also hear if you live in Poland or you spend a lot of time with Poles. I'm sure you eventually come across at it. I think it's extremely situational. It won't go into every situation or phrase. And number 3, the last phrase, which is very easy, is this one, bułka z masłem. And that is something that is super popular. You will definitely hear it. And it's like, it doesn't matter. You don't have to be advanced to be able to use it. Like with maybe wóz albo przewóz, because, you know, the previous one was a little bit more complex, but useful to know too. This one is super easy because it simply means piece of cake, you know, easy peasy basically. So it's the same way of using it, you know, and the only thing is that the translation is funny for me because when I was translating this phrase to my international friends, they would always be like so surprised, like why? And the translation of it is a baguette with butter or bread with butter, you know. It's basically we use it because it's so easy to grab a bread or a baguette and put butter on it, you know. It's just so easy. Bułka z masłem, easy peasy, piece of cake. For us, you know, putting butter on the bread is much easier than taking a piece of cake because apart from that, it's super popular in Poland to eat sandwiches, and they're not just like, you know, ham and cheese. They're very elaborate, okay? It's a different type of sandwiches altogether. I will include a picture here. Oh, just thinking of it makes me like want to eat one. But yeah, that's bułka z masłem. And that's all, guys. I hope you enjoyed this quick video because I like to give you those little unusual phrases that you might hear across on the streets when you're actually with the people, and you might not understand them if you don't know the context and the concept of those phrases. There's lots of more, but for today, I think that's it. Thank you for being here. Subscribe to this channel, follow me on Instagram, and yeah, leave me comments. You have a typical phrase or a translation from your own language if it's not English, and if it's English, maybe correct me. Thank you, and see you in the next one.